There are some programs that don't just appear on television, they arrive like a long-awaited visitor. They step through the door, shake the snow from their coat and settle beside the fire as if they've always belonged there. For many of us who grew up in Britain in the 1980s, the Box of Delights wasn't simply a children's serial, it was Christmas. The BBC's 1984 adaptation of John Masefield's 1935 novel is one of those rare creations where the magic lingers long after you've grown up, where a piece of television made on a children's budget but with astonishing ambition somehow feels richer with every passing December. Tonight we're heading back to that snow-covered world, to railway carriages, wicked clergymen, Punch and Judy men with dangerous secrets, wolves in the night, and the greatest Christmas theme music the BBC ever aired. So gather close, we're going into the cold, bright heart of the Box of Delights. Before it became the BBC's most expensive children's serial of its day, The Box of Delights was a book written by John Masefield, Poet Laureate of the United Kingdom. Masefield wrote two children's novels starring the same boy hero, Kay Harker, The Midnight Folk of 1927 and The Box of Delights of 1935. Both books blend fantasy, folklore, myth and the cosy glow of winter, but The Box of Delights is the one that captured the nation's imagination. A story drenched in snow and danger and enchantment. Kay Harker returns home for Christmas and meets Cole Hawlings, an old Punch and Judy man with a magical box, a box that can make you go small or go swift, and can even make you go into the past. It's the kind of Christmas present that would put Argos out of business. But powerful magic attracts powerful villains, specifically the sinister and theatrical Abner Brown, leader of a criminal gang masquerading as a religious order. By the time the BBC arrived to adapt it in the 1980s, they were dealing with one of the great British Christmas fantasies. They just had to work out how to film it. So the BBC's children's department wanted to create something spectacular for the festive season, but spectacular is not a word the 1980s BBC budget liked hearing. It usually responded with a nervous laugh. Even so, producer Paul Stone and director Rennie Rye were determined. They felt children deserved a Christmas fantasy with real weight, real atmosphere, something that could stand beside Narnia, Doctor Who and the great fairy tales. And so the Box of Delights became a kind of test case. Could the BBC push children's drama into new territory? They used early chroma key, pioneering digital visual effects and model work, and ambitious location filming. This was cutting edge for 1984. One newspaper even described it as a milestone in children's drama, which translated from journalistic language means we can't believe the BBC pulled this off. The total cost topped £1 million, making it the most expensive children's production the BBC had yet attempted. And unlike many expensive BBC productions of the era, this one actually looks it. Every Christmas classic needs a perfect cast, and this one delivered. Kay Harker was played by Devin Stanfield, who gives one of those quietly brilliant child performances, earnest without being sweet, brave without being irritating, and very good at looking astonished by magical phenomena, which is a key skill when half the effects will be added in post-production. But the serial's heart belongs to Patrick Troughton as Cole Hawlings, the wandering magician with the mysterious box. Troughton, already beloved as the second Doctor, brings a twinkling melancholy to the role. He looks as though he's been carrying Christmas stories around with him for centuries. And then there's Robert Stephens as Abner Brown, theatrical, booming, cunning, and having the time of his life. If pantomime villains were allowed to be genuinely frightening, this is what they'd look like. Herne Hunter is played by Glyn Baker, son of Stanley Baker, and the wonderful Patricia Quinn as Sylvia Daisy Pouncer, because if you're doing magical Christmas fantasy, having a member of the Rocky Horror cast helps enormously. Together they create a world that feels simultaneously cosy and strange, exactly what Masefield intended. If you want Christmas atmosphere, you need the right settings, and the BBC found them. Much of the story takes place in and around the fictional Tatchester. For this, they used Tewkesbury and its medieval streets, the Severn Valley Railway, especially Bewdley and Ardley stations, and Hereford Cathedral, used for the climactic sequences. And the snow-covered countryside came straight out of A Christmas Card. The result is a series that looks like the inside of a December dream. Candlelit churches, frosty lanes, and trains chugging through winter twilight. When Kay arrives on that railway platform in the first episode, you can almost smell the cold iron and hear the distant carols. And then there's the part that guarantees this story will always be associated with Christmas, the music. The theme is the third movement of Victor Haley Hutchinson's Carol Symphony, a lush 1927 orchestral work that weaves the first Noel into a gorgeous pastoral melody. For the BBC version, it was arranged and produced by Roger Limb of the BBC Radiophonic Workshop, the same team famous for electronic wizardry, including much of Doctor Who's sound. And what a perfect combination it is. Old-fashioned orchestral warmth shaped by modern electronic texture. It feels like stepping inside a warm house from the snow. To this day, hearing that opening swell causes a Pavlovian Christmas response. If you played it in June, supermarkets would immediately start stocking mince pies. For a children's serial, The Box of Delights was astonishingly ambitious with its visual effects. Remember, this is 1984, years before CGI became common. The BBC used the chroma key compositing, digital paint box effects, model shots and optical tricks. Kay shrinking and flying, wolves racing through the snow, characters appearing and disappearing, all were created with the best technology the BBC had. Today, some of the effects look charmingly vintage, but never laughable. They feel like part of the show's dreamlike texture, as if the magic is slightly unstable, flickering at the edges. And in a way, that's more enchanting than perfect CGI ever could be. The plot of The Box of Delights is both simple and grand. Kay meets Cole Hawkins, keeper of the magical box. The villain Abner Brown wants the box for himself. Kay and his friends try to protect it. The magic leads them into time, into danger, and into wonder. And all of it happens as Christmas approaches. One of the show's great strengths is how it balances cosy Christmas charm with real peril. This isn't a sanitized fantasy. The villains are genuinely frightening. The stakes feel enormous. Kay is just a child facing something huge. Yet always there is hope. That blend of darkness and light is why the story lingers. It's the essence of the British Christmas ghost story tradition, a fire in the hearth and something moving in the shadows just beyond its glow. The ending of The Box of Delights has caused debate since 1935. The story culminates in a rescue, a confrontation, and the defeat of Abner Brown. And then, Kay wakes up. Was it all a dream? Or was this the box's final enchantment, a gentle return to safety? Masefield intended the ending to feel ambiguous, like the lingering warmth of a candle after it goes out. The TV adaptation preserves this perfectly. As a child watching it, the ending is spellbinding. As an adult, it's quietly heartbreaking. That's why the story works. It treats childhood not as a joke, but as a time when magic feels real, and maybe is. The broadcast from the 21st of November to Christmas Eve, the serial became an immediate seasonal favourite. It won 3 BAFTAs and a Royal Television Society award, especially for its groundbreaking effects. Its reputation has only grown. For many, watching it has become an annual tradition, almost as essential as the turkey, the tree, or the voice of Noddy Holder. The BBC repeated it in the early 1990s, then released it on VHS and DVD, but it lives mostly vividly in memory and in the strange emotional place where childhood Christmases are stored. Because that's what The Box of Delights really is, a time capsule of the way Christmas felt when you were young. Snow that fell thicker, nights that were darker, magic that seemed genuinely possible. So here we are at the journey's end. The wolves have stopped running, the snow has settled, and the Box of Delights closes for another year. But the magic never fully goes away. It waits patiently for anyone who remembers the feeling of sitting down on a cold December evening, hearing the swell of Healy Hutchinson's Carol Symphony, and being carried into a world where courage matters, children triumph, and Christmas is full of wonder. Kay Harker once asked, "May we go swift?" And thanks to the BBC's extraordinary 1984 serial, the answer is always yes. Merry Christmas and mind the wolves. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you all have a great Christmas, and like and subscribe. That can be my present. Right? Bye.